Record desktop for your custom. All right. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna add a platform. A platform is iOS or Android. So I write TNS platform add iOS. TNS platform add Android. And if I now do TNS emulate iOS device iPhone 6, press enter. This is going to invoke Xcode. So here Xcode is doing its magic. Starting an emulator. Should start an emulator. And starting an app. This is an actual app. This is the Hello World app which you get when you create type TNS create project. It's an app. You can rate the button here 42 times. 29 more times and you get a message. That's pretty much it. And you can also do, so I'm going to close that. I'm actually going to open a new code. So you can also do TNS deploy, because I have an Android here tethered to my computer. TNS deploy Android device 1, I think it is. So this is going to invoke Gradle. First time it takes a couple of minutes. Usually building on Android is a little bit slower than building on iOS. First time it takes much longer time than the second time. So there we go. 26 seconds. Should take like 5 or 6 later on. Deploying. This is the debugging in Android. And I have, it's called Visor, which is like a mirror. Come on. All right. Connecting to device. So here's my actual Android device. I can press here. It actually updates. So you can see the difference. Here we have a button. The tap is a button element, which looks like that, obviously, on an iOS and like that on the Android. And you can see like the Android usually have the these 3 buttons down here, the back button and those kind of things, and they have the like the title bar on top by default. So it's a little bit different. All right. So let's make this into. Let's open this in my IDE. I use WebStorm. You can use whatever you want. Close that. Just going to create a new project. Didn't remember my size, did it? Oops. Here you go for web. Yeah, I did. All right, cool. Come on. So here you have the actual actual files. It's an app.css file, which is the CSS, which is a subsection of the of CSS. App.js, which I'm going to show you. Main page, JS and XML, which are a view, and a modal, which they have created. So if you look at app.js, this is the starting point of any app. It always starts with app.js. Basically, what you do here is you point it to the main module here, which is actually the main page. You can do some other things here, like load preferences and stuff like that. I'm not going to show you any more of that. And then we have these 3 files. We have the main, we have the main page. In NativeScript, you can do UI by writing code for it, like JSX, like React. You can actually write the code, or you can use XML to do it for you. I'm going to use XML here, as it's easier to understand here what we're doing. But it's up to you, whatever you want to use. I think the performance is pretty much the same, no matter what you're using. So I have a page with a label which says tap the button, and you can see it here. It says tap the button. I have a button which says tap, and I have a label which says how many taps there are left. Backing this, I have a JavaScript file which has one function which it exports. It has the function page loaded. I'm going to describe what this does. But if you look at the XML, you see that it has a loaded event. So when this is loaded, it's going to call page loaded. And then they have created what they call a view model, which is basically the business logic for tapping this. I'm gonna remove this view model remove. No, actually, I'm gonna do this. Yeah, remove the view model. Gonna reset this a little bit. Need to remove view model. I'm gonna sorry. There we go. NativeScript also has have a live coding mode, or like a live syncing mode, as many of you are quite aware of, I think, with doing web development. This live sync mode is quite new. It's not all there yet. It still restarts the app. It's not injecting code into the app. Injecting code will come pretty soon, I guess. I've seen commits which are pointing that way. I've seen some movies which are pointing that way, but it's not there yet. But I can do TNS live sync iOS later, and then add a watch. Cool. And if I change this now, tap the button to hi there and save, it says hi there. Uppsala.js. Uppsala.js. I think maybe I'm actually going to change this to the iPhone 5. I've seen that happening when it did an update on the iPhone 6. Like that, and live sync again. Aloha. Yeah, all right. Cool.
Question.
Yeah.
I assume how much live is it? Let's say that you are deeply nested in some.
This restarts the app.
Okay.
Right now, it restarts the app, so it's not injecting code into the app. That was what I was talking about. That injecting code. I've seen some screenshots of it. It's not there yet. Probably will be there within a month.
So as your app grows to like a real size app, long are the iterations?
Actually, restarting is pretty much the same. That doesn't take a longer time because take longer time. However, if you need to go like 3 pages down, obviously you need to do that after it's restarted because it's losing it has lost all its state when you're restarting it. Did I answer the question? All right, cool. All right. So if we grab this CSS file, app.css, you can see that I have a label here. Do I have a label here as well? No, but I have a CSS class, which is a class name, CSS class name, as you know it. So if I want to, I can do like color red and save it. And it's red. As you can see here, this is almost CSS, not really. There's no units here. It says margin 20, and this is what the device developers call pixel independent units, I think, right? Because the pixels on devices could be quite different, as you have these Retina devices or XHDPI devices and stuff like that. These are pixel independent units. And then we have things like horizontal assign. So it's not really CSS, but you can use CSS, what you knew of CSS. All right, I'm going to show you, actually I have a snippets file somewhere. Uppsala.js snippets. Sublime. So the first thing you need to know about developing on phones is that you have these kind of views. So here I'm saying I have a layout. I have a stack layout, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buttons in it. So if I save this, I have 5 elements, 5 buttons which stack from top to bottom. I can also add if I add a background color here, background color. That nice color. You can see it's stacking. You can also do a margin 5. So they're stacking on top of each other. This I can also do horizontal, and they are horizontal. So this is StackLayout is one of the first layouts. GridLayout is a second one. Looks like this. So I have a grid layout with 4 labels here. Change this into a label. With 4 labels here. A grid. So it's a grid with 2 rows and 2 columns. And I've specified that this is row 1, column 1, and so on. They have the size of auto, which means take the size you need. You can also change this into size star, which means take available size. Or I can also do things like it's basically percentage. So I can say make this 3 times as big as the first one.
Question.
Sure. Like
tab.
Yeah.
You have this default color scheme.
Yeah.
Do you have access to those base colors in some way if you want to have the rest of the app to look?
You do. I haven't. I want the Apple default color, which is probably blue or something like that. I actually don't know, because you can't do any logic in the CSS part of it. However, you can instead of writing CSS, you can do that from the JavaScript code. Of course, you can say set this color to this element, and as you have access to the full iOS or Android APIs, I guess you can ask them for give me the default color. So I'm pretty sure that you can do this. No idea how you do it. All right, so this is a grid layout. I can also, lastly, I can do a, I don't have an I have an absolute layout here. Can also add an absolute layout. If I save this, and that would stand. I gave that the class standout. So if I say standout, background color red, save. You can see that this is absolutely positioned. So what I've done here is that I have created a label with the class standout. So the top left, width and height of that, and the text of it. That's everything you need to know about, like, layouts. There's some more layouts, like dock layout, which you can say like dock this to the bottom of the screen or stuff like that. There's a couple of layouts, but this is what you need to know about layouts. So let's write some JavaScript. I'm just going to reset this to a keep on label to a StackLayout with a label with the text for. Yeah, for. I'm gonna remove that background color. So there it says 4. So let's write some JavaScript. Let's instead of having it 4 here, write 4 from JavaScript. So a key concept of NativeScript is the binding context. This page loaded function will most of the time look exactly like this. You will have a page loaded, which gets some arguments. From there you get the page, which is the actual page object. And the page object has a binding context. And the binding context object looks like this. If you write, my title here, and then you write hello, and then in this label, instead of writing 4 here, you use the curly braces to write my title. Save that, and it gets that from the binding context. Binding context is a key concept of NativeScript. Let's add a widget on this page, like those tab bars. We have StackLayout. Sorry. Here we have a ListView. Change the title. So here I still have that label, the title, and then I have a list view. List views are, when you have in your contacts, list of contacts. That's a list view. It's a list of things. The Android has it. The iOS has it. Looks a little bit different. Works exactly the same. So here I have a list view with which is going to iterate over the my items from the binding context. And for every my item, it's going to print the name property. So if I write a here, as I say, my items, right? Was it? My items. And then create an array. And each u1. And Emil. Give me a name. No one? Ray. There we go. So if I do it like this, save it. Come on. I'll write some bad code. Oh, comma. Yay! You get a view here. So still have the label, and then we have this scrollable view, list view.
So I have a question.
Shoot.
I'm not sure if it even exists, but if if there any elements you have used which are completely different on iOS and Android, but maps to the same thing within NativeScript?
Tabs are a little bit different, like the look and feel of them.
Yeah, basically I'm talking about, say you have something popping out from the side on Android or something doing something completely different on iOS.
I wouldn't say completely different. They are mimicking each other. But tabs are actually a bit different because the Android has it on top as the iOS have them on bottom.
Yeah.
And that makes it a little bit different when you design a UI.
How does that work? With NativeScript you get both in the same place? Or?
No, you get it the iOS way or the Android way. Unless you actually do something and say like, I want this tab bar to be on top, or because obviously you can do that. But I guess there are.
Is that hard that you have to do the layout depending on like if tab bar is on top or the bar? Maybe there are other examples.
Yeah, but you give that to designers. Yeah, it's a little bit hard. It is. You can actually write like if there are big differences, you can do Android or iOS specific XML files or JavaScript files. If you have append.ios on them, append something of it, .ios, you get the iOS version.
How hard is it to hand over the design part to a designer that doesn't know anything about NativeScript?
I haven't done it. But I guess like if the designer knows app development, it's no problem because this is app development. If
you got this sort of pure graphics kind of a guy,
then you still have the same problem as you always have.
Oh.
Like you can't do that. This is the web, but nice trying. Pretty much the same.
Another question: what about if you want to do layouts for different screen sizes?
Yeah, you can. You can prepend/append files with the minimum height as well if you want to do that. So you can say like, this is the view I want for Android. For tablets, or for like minimum width of 680 or whatever.
From JavaScript you also know?
You get that. You can get the screen size from JavaScript as well. All right, so let's say, I have this binding context, right? Let's say I want to change this binding context. After 2 seconds, I want to change the hello in the title to something else. So I write set timeout function. After 2 seconds, I want to change the page binding context title to something else. And save this. Wait for 2 seconds. And nothing happens. This is already bound to it. This isn't changing. However, here we have observable objects to the rescue. Anyone know observable objects from ES6? All right. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to use one of these modules from NativeScript. So I'm going to write var observable equals require, and it's called data observable. And how do I know this? Because I can read the documentation, but also because I can see all the modules imported here. So you can see the data module, data observable. So I have the observable, and I'm gonna move this here. So I'm gonna write view model equals new observable dot observable, and then I'm actually gonna take this and type. So I'm gonna create an observable object, which it's pretty much like any other object. Difference is when I change this object, I'm gonna emit a signal which tells NativeScript to update, or I can catch that signal myself. So let's set this here, and then I'm gonna set the binding context to view model, And then I'm gonna set the view model to something else down here to 2 seconds. So if I save this, keep my thumbs, hello. What have I done wrong? Someone, can you see this?
View model.title.
Thank you. Something else, and it updates. And these observables work in 2 ways. I'm just going to show this way, like code to UI here. But if you have like a something user inputable, like a text field or like a radio buttons or whatever, that gets reflected down as well, so you can react on when something happens in the UI. However, if I, instead of changing the title, want to add a new person here, so I write viewModel.myItems.push and push a new item here, so name Magnus, and save this. This isn't pushed. Observables are shallow. So what I need to do here is that I need to include the observable array. And then I take this array down here and make that into a new observable array dot observable array. Save that. Ray and Magnus. So now you knew how to create views, the binding context, which is crucial, and the observable objects and array, which are also crucial. Now let's build something real. Anyone here doesn't know Reddit? Would anyone like? All right. Reddit is the front page of the internet. So I'm gonna write a Reddit reader. Reddit looks like this. You can read interesting things like watch this little vine of a puppy, which are eating paper, decides to kill a witness in the only way out. Reddit happens to have a JSON file for the front page. It looks like this. Perfect. So what I'm going to do here is go back to my code, remove these names. We don't need that anymore. Hello can stay there. The set timeout we can remove. So when page is loaded, I'm going to call a function called load Reddit. Create a function called load function load Reddit. And here I'm going to use the HTTP module, which is called just HTTP. It's down there. So I'm going to write require HTTP and write HTTP dot get JSON and that URL, and then promised function response.
One question: if you for some reason want to write something native,
yep,
can you interface with it?
Yeah, you can add like if you have like an Objective-C library. Yes, you can do that. If you write like a CocoaPod, an Objective-C library, or a Java library on Android, yes, you can connect with all those things. And when this getJSON is loaded, I'm just gonna update the title again. So I write view model dot title is Reddit loaded. Say Reddit loaded. So it loads the JSON. So let's look at that JSON. JSON online. Anyone uses? Yep. Oops, wrong one. JSON online, which is a JSON viewer. So let's look at this JSON. It has data, children, and then an array. And this looks like the actual content. Trumpets amazing, yeah. So it's data and children. So if I take this response, dot response dot data dot children. What's that? Map that function item. That should be every data children map. Data children, and then gonna iterate over those. They have a data. So for everyone, I'm gonna view model dot my items dot push the item data. Maybe could be loaded. Do I have something?
Response.
Sorry, not R. Response. Good catch. Ah, see, and we just happen to have like this JSON happens to have a name property somewhere here, which is what we are writing here. So let's change this to I think it's the title, which is the name of the So here you have this puppy caught on eating paper. You see, it's truncating these. It's easy fixable. If you remember if it's text wrap or word wrap, I think it's text wrap. True. Yeah. So here we have a list view with things from Reddit, and here you have the native feel of it. We actually it's possible. We're not going to do it here, I think, but it's possible. It's an event. And if you look at this JSON, I think it's also have the author somewhere under here. Author, yeah. So let's add the author here. So in this stack layout, I have a label and then a list view. But within this list view, for every item, I can add new layouts. I can add a stack layout here as well. And a stack layout. And then I'm gonna add the author. Do like this, reload.
/stack layout.
Thank you. And here we have the author as well. Let's change this a little bit. So let's look see it. CSS class, title, and author. And then we can add title. Oh, we have a title here also. All right, let's remove that. Font size 12. Author. Font size 10. Color. Well, brown. All right, looks a bit alright. All right, let's leave it at that for now. But yeah, one more thing. There's a date stamp here. It's a date stamp. Created UTC. So if I want to add this, I can actually do it here in the. So it says author. Do it like this. And add created UTC. Reload, and you get the Unix timestamp, which everyone knows. So let's say we want to make this a little bit prettier. Moment.js Anyone uses that?
Yeah.
It's an excellent library for doing everything with time and date, which is terrible. So let's install that. How do you install that? Code. Sorry. Anyone, how do you install Moment.js?
It's NPM, right?
Yeah, okay, so npm install Moment, save it. All right, let's do that then. As I'm using this live sync after installing new modules, I actually have to rebuild it for real. So I'm gonna rebuild this. And how do you use Moment? Anyone? Well, you require it. So you require Moment. I think it's called Moment. Is that done? Not yet. Good. And then I'm gonna live sync it again. So if you go to Moment.js, the docs, I think it's called, I think I have it here. From now, I think. Yeah. Moment has a function which can say like this is 4 seconds ago or something like that. So it looks like this. So on the item data here, I'm gonna add item data dot friendly time equals moment, and it was called item data. What was it called? Something strange. Created UTC. Created UTC, and this is a Unix timestamp. JavaScript wants that times 1000 because they want milliseconds as well. So that's friendly time. So if we change that into friendly time instead, 3 hours ago, 4 hours ago, that's an npm module. It's quite easy to use. All right, so let's make something happen when you click this, because nothing happens here. Reddit is basically a list of links to things. So it's a link to this awesome copy. There we go. Yeah. So let's be able to see that. So we can actually say spawn a web browser. Open it in that. Spawn a new page and open it in that. All right. So first of all, we have this tap item. So when you tap this stack layout, so you say tap, you want to run a function. Call that item tap, and then in our JS file, we can export item tap and create a new function called item tap like this. And when I tap that, I want to change that Reddit loaded, and that's called view modal.title equals tapped. You see it working, loading. When I tap it, it says tapped. But I want to open a new page when I do this. A new page in the app. Actually, a new view, I think, is the correct wording. So the way to do that is to create a new file. So I create let's call it details.js, and I create details.xml. And in details.xml, I'm just gonna copy some stuff here. Just a label. So I create a label and say this is details. So now I create a new page. No JS file, no JS yet. And if I go back to my item tab, I want to navigate. When I tap it, I want to navigate to the new page. I do this with the frame module. Everything is modules here. So I grab frame module, and it's in UI/frame. And here I can write frame module dot topmost, which is the which give me the topmost view. Navigate to details. Click it, navigates to details. This is details. And you can see it added a top action bar here. This is the way iOS works. If there's a navigation stack and there's a back entry, it adds a back button, unless you say it to do otherwise. So you actually added that. Let's action bar. We can also add that action bar to the front page. I'm going to do that real quick. Now we have an action bar set to Reddit reader, and it goes back to Reddit reader. A little bit prettier to see that. All right, but now we need to transfer some data between these views, right? So when I click this, I want the second view to know that I clicked this view. This is the one I'm going to show. And this is done via the navigation context. So you have a binding context, and you can do a navigation context. And the way you can do this is that you, instead of just passing in the name of the view, you can pass in an object with module name details, and the context being, well, the context must be args, because in this item tab I get the argument, and that views view binding context. So I get a binding context back. So when I click this item, I get that item's context, get it back, send it through the navigation context. If I do like this, send it through, go to details. Well, nothing happens right now. Need to write some code on the other side. So I write the old page loaded. So I page load on details as well, and I set this to args navigation context. So I get the navigation context and set that to this page binding context. And if we change this to like URL, because there's a, or like title with it. Oh. So press that. What's not working? Orange page loaded. Yeah. Item tap. I tap it.
It's called context there and navigation context. So maybe just a remapping.
It's actually called context here. When you call it.
I think you need to export.
Thank you. Of course. Well, I need to. Yep.
How about setting the title on the array my items?
Sorry?
Ah, no, you pushed all the data.
Yeah, I push all the data. Okay, I have some snippets here. Because I've already done this. Where?
Setting title on the view model, but
Here?
you're only presenting title in the details.
It's a different item. Just let me grab this. Done some stupid error.
Yeah,
you use args instead of pages.
Args?
Page in the detail view.
Detail view, args.
Yeah, but in your snippet, the second arg is a page.
Sorry, I'm not getting you.
In the detail.
In the details view? Yeah.
The arg.navigation context.
Yeah.
In your snippet, it says page navigation context.
Right. There we go. It's a page object. Yeah. There we go. Come on. There we go. Hey, grab a sticker. Sweet. All right. So now we get the label here. It's title. We also have the URL. I think. So if we press that, we get the URL to that. If we change this label to, let's say, a web view, which is actually a web view, like in PhoneCap, it's actually a web view. And change text to source, save, press it, and you can see stuff Donald Trump make. So now we actually made ourselves a Reddit reader. Scroll up. I think there was something about Sweden here. Yeah. Efficiency up, turnovers down, Sweden's experience with 6 hours working days. Pretty awesome, right? Let's make one more thing. Let's make this shareable, because this is a sharing economy. So let's make this shareable on Facebook. So what I can do here is that I can grab my... actually, we can do like this. I think I have an action bar here. What don't I have? All right, never mind. This is the details view. I have the action bar here as well. You can change the title to title, which should change this to Trump versus Mason. And I can add a I saved that? All right, let's write it. An action bar. It should look like. Do I have it here? All right. Oh well. Action bar dot action items. And then we have an action, action item text equals share. And I can actually do like this. iOS position equals right, Android position equals pop up. I'm going to describe it in a second. I have a share button here, right? This is how you do it on iOS. On Android, nowadays you usually have this non-hamburger. It's called like a details menu, like the 3 dots, and that's what's called a pop-up. So there you get that one, and you get share in the pop-up. So now I have a share, but nothing happens when I write share. But I happen to know that there's an npm module for that, and this is not an ordinary npm module. This is a NativeScript. Social share, I think, npm module, which brings up these screens for sharing. And here we have TNS plugin add. TNS plugin add piggybacks on npm. What TNS plugin add is it downloads an npm package, but it can also install, like if you need. Like on Android devices, you need to specify which permissions you need to ask for. Like inside, this app is going to ask for the camera. So if you in a module says this module needs access for the camera, that information is then merged with your like Android manifest file, which is like the big one. So I'm going to run this TNS plugin add social share. Awesome. If you look at this module, you open it on GitHub, because it's basically two files. It's the social share iOS and social share Android. If you look at social share iOS, I think it's easier. It does some small magic here. This is invoking the share function on the iOS.
Get to what you were saying about the long names.
Yeah. In it with activity item application activities, things to share. If you look at Android, it's a little bit longer code, but it's shorter names. So yeah, we get that one, and how to use that, you require it. As you go to details, require that, save it, and this is gonna crash. Oh, not yet, because you have to rebuild it. And while we do that, see how do you use this? You do like this, share text. So on this action item, you put a tap action, so tap, say, share. Then you go to your details view, export share. Can I actually write it here? And then you use social share. And this hasn't reloaded, has it? Yeah, it has. Live sync. Let's see if this works. So I press share. Not yet. Doesn't share. Share. Yeah. This is an emulator to have mail. So if I press mail here, it says I love NativeScript. Delete draft. Actually, I can deploy this on my Android. Somewhere. There. In the background. We need the, however, we need the URL because we need to share the URL, right? So let's make this var view modal accessible. Select var view modal, and we make page like that to the view modal equals, and then view modal, and then type like, look at this awesome thing, and then the URL, which is called viewModal.url. Save it. Share, mail, and there's the link. If I were to have Facebook, I could share it on Facebook and so on. Last but not least, to make this a little bit prettier, let's add some custom code just to show how that's done. So now we have this gray default action bar color. So if I go to the load page, the first thing which is loaded, then you just paste this hunk here. What this does is that it's actually invoking iOS functionality. So it's requesting the navigation bar from the iOS object. So it's actually iOS, and then it's setting using iOS methods UI color. Then we have color with red, green, blue, alpha, which is awesome because hex color doesn't cut it. Then they have this value, which is a value between one. If you take you have to divide the color by 255 or something like that, and set some bar tint color and bar styles. If you save this, it's blue instead. in white color. We have a few minutes, so I'm going to show you one more thing. Last thing I'm going to show you, let's say we want to swipe back instead. So if I, on details, on the WebView, add a swipe action. So I call it swipe action swipe, because I have no imagination. Then I create an export swipe equals function args like that. And how do you use the swipe swipe module? Well, it's a module, so we call that it's a gestures module. So it's called UI gestures. Then we have to. There's many gestures. It's up, down, left, right, those kind of things. So if we have to check if the right gesture. All right, like if args.direction equals gestures.swipe directions.right. Then we want to do something. And what do we want to do? We want to navigate back. Navigation is done with the frame module. So I steal the frame module. And then I say frame module topmost. Top. Yeah, topmost. Go back. Save. Press. See, Trump versus Mason. Go on. Or I can grab here, swipe back. Alright. This is pretty much it. Oh, sorry. I'll leave you with this. Sure.
When you're done, you want to
Deploy.